record.
All right. Great. Thanks, Jeff. So welcome everyone. Like Jeff had mentioned, today's our second virtual town hall meeting. We did have one last week as well. Again, this is going to be recorded, so we are able to share it on our YouTube page and Facebook, and in case anyone who wasn't able to join, can listen in and hopefully get their questions answered. My name is Katie McCluskey. You can see that on my tag at the bottom of my picture. I am one of the co-leads for the Midland Making Strides event. This year is a little bit different. As you guys know, it's been kind of a crazy, first half of the year. A lot of things, up in the air, and everyone's just trying to stay safe and healthy. With that said, we are moving to virtual events this year. And so given that we are in a virtual world for the upcoming events, we decided to work and collaborate together with our Saginaw Bay Committee. And we figured that while the two events themselves are separate, we have two event websites and fundraising efforts. We feel that, we can do more together by combining efforts and reaching out to the community and expanding our awareness in that fashion. So we are looking forward to working together with the Saginaw Bay group. We wanted to share with everyone that, it has been an incredibly tough first 7 months. Our thoughts, prayers, and hearts go out to those folks who, maybe rebuilding their homes or who have been hit, hard from a financial standpoint with all of the COVID-related, flood-related events that have taken place. And those who may have symptoms, and especially those who are fighting cancer who may have seen delays in their treatment because of COVID. So our efforts as, a committee and as a community are more important than ever. So with that said, I'd like to, share a couple events and announcements that, are coming over the next few months, and then, definitely open it up for questions, comments, concerns. I really want to make this as interactive as possible. Get your, everyone's thoughts and your opinions on, how to make this year the best year yet. Even though we have quite a few headwinds in front of us, it doesn't mean that, it needs to, stop in our efforts to, fight breast cancer and fundraise as much as we can for ACS and for this cause. So any comments, questions, concerns before we jump into the announcements from anyone? Good? All right. So the first announcement that we wanted to share, and maybe you have seen it, hopefully you've seen it, is our Spark MI Hope campaign that's happening in Michigan. So we have a kickoff video on our Facebook page. And really, this campaign involves passing a sparkler and using social media to make an ask for fundraising and donations. It started on Monday and it goes through the 16th, so Thursday. Are those the right dates, Jeff? Keep me honest here. I think those are the right dates. Yes, thumbs up.
Yes.
All right, good.
There is a larger thing that kicks off on the 16th. So really today and tomorrow are kind of the last 2 days. We do still encourage people to make a video with a sparkler, to register your team, and to put something on social media if you're on social media. Asking people is kind of a nice kickoff, to a jump start to, even if it doesn't gather donations, it'll get people thinking about ACS again and help us to build some more positive momentum.
Great. Thank you. Yes. And
if you're on Facebook and you search for hashtag Spark My Hope, that's Spark MI, as in Michigan Hope, then you will see a number of videos that have been posted already. I did a search yesterday and there were at least a dozen that came up, including our introduction, and you can see people from all over the state. And it's really cool. And I would hate for people to miss the opportunity to be a part of something that is connecting us all across the state.
Yeah, and I've seen folks who've just had a message themselves. I've seen friends who've incorporated their families and have passed along the sparkler and have done a family video. So it really is a fun way, fun challenge to do. And like I said, like Jeff said, whether you want to kickstart your fundraising in that fashion, or just bring awareness, everything helps, and it just gets the message out there in a fun, interactive way. So like I said, you can see our faith inspiration on that, and we encourage you to take part in that challenge. The next announcement that we have is we will be having a virtual kickoff. So if you've been involved in our events in the past, you've known that Saginaw Bay generally has a daytime, breakfast or lunch. I think last year they actually did have their first evening kickoff event. In Midland, we usually host a dinner at the H Hotel. But again, given COVID and social distancing requirements, there will be no local kickoff events, but there will be a national kickoff virtual event that will take place on August 11th at noon. And so you all should be receiving an invitation this week if you haven't received it yet. So we would encourage you to, perfect. Thanks, Jeff. I'm assuming that you're sharing. We encourage you to register RSVP to this event if you are planning to join us and watch it, live stream. We also encourage you to forward this to friends, family. We would love to see as many folks as possible listening in on this kickoff event to learn more about, ACS, making strides, and just, various fundraising efforts, and what to look forward to for the rest of the year. And I'm trying to think. I want to make sure everyone should get an email right this week. Jeff, is there any? When was the RSVP date? When did that say we should RSVP by?
So my understanding is the emails will actually go out today on the 14th. Mm-hmm. And the second wave of emails will go out as a reminder 2 weeks from today. I have not seen any of those hit my inbox yet, so I don't know exactly. It'll be from a national server, so it may take time for those to all roll out. I don't know if that means that some people won't get their email for a day or two, but hopefully everyone gets it soon. I can double check. There is not a deadline listed on the RSVP page, but the sooner the better for sure.
So Jeff, will that go out to everybody who is registered, everybody who participated in prior events, or?
Yeah, so I believe it'll for sure go to everyone that is registered this year, but those numbers are very light. We've got, I believe, less than 20 people registered locally for each event. And so we always send to at least the previous year's registered participants. In some cases, we go back even into the year before that. I'm not familiar with whether or not they are pulling from any other lists or databases for those emails, but keep in mind that we have a lot of people show up for both walks each year that don't register. And so that's where it's important to share that information with people that you know. especially we get a lot of corporate teams that do fundraising and have 20, 30, 40 people at the walk, but when you look on the website, there's just the team captain registered, maybe a couple of other people. So we do not want anyone to miss out on joining us for this kickoff. So please forward it to anyone you know, anyone you work with, anyone you know that has been afflicted by cancer or has friends and family and loved ones that have been. We want to make this available to more people than ever have been. Kickoffs have, strangely, because of costs associated with them, been a little bit exclusive. We've looked at team captains and survivors and sponsors, and prospective new team captains this year. So a lot of people who are participants on a team have not been able to go to a kickoff before, because at a lot of locations, if we do a breakfast, we pay a certain amount of money per plate that's there. And so we want to be wise with our expenses. Well, this is free. And so whether we have 1,000 or 100,000 people join in nationwide, it costs us the exact same to produce this. So please share, don't spam your friends, but share it with a personal message that says, hey, I'm excited for this. I'm personally excited because we may get to hear from people that we normally don't get to hear from locally. On Thursday's call, I talked about the potential to have, I don't know if they're having any celebrity spokespeople, but I would love to hear from somebody that is funded in their research right now by the American Cancer Society. We don't get to have that in mid-Michigan very often. While we have people that we're funding in Lansing and in Ann Arbor and in Grand Rapids and in Detroit, it's still tough to get them to come to our events up here. So I'm really excited for some of the opportunities, not just with this kickoff, but with the virtual programming that we're going to have this year.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Anyone have any questions on the virtual kickoff before we jump to the next announcement? No? Okay. All right, perfect. So then the next announcement we wanted to share is in line with the virtual kickoff. We will be having virtual walks. This year there's not going to be a local in-person walk, in the Saginaw or the Midland location. We are calling this the National Day of Celebration, which will be October 17th. So, definitely if that day you want to still mark it on your calendar, we still encourage all of our participants and team leads, to gather as they feel comfortable and walk in support of Making Strides. But just to know that, for Midland specifically, we're not going to be all gathering, at Dow Diamond. But if you and your friends want to meet together at Dow Diamond and go and walk along the trail, you're more than welcome to do that. So we definitely, like I said, still encourage, folks to walk. And even leading up to that, don't feel that this is limited to just one day. I have been a part of the Making Strides event for the last several years. And I know that, and many of you probably know that it's cold and usually rainy on that day. And so maybe you don't want to walk 3 miles on, October 10th. Maybe you want to get your friends together and walk mid-September in honor of, your Making Strides and celebrating survivors and in memory of those who, we've lost you're welcome to do that. We want to leave this open, to all different forms of, whatever this means for you and your team and your friends and your family. And we actually encourage that as well, because kind of leading into our next, announcement is Jeff, here, our ACS partner, is going to be hosting a local news story show with respect to Making Strides. And what's starting, I could, again, keep me honest, Jeff, I think starting early September through the National Day of Celebration each week, we're going to have a weekly news show that's speaks to a different topic of ACS and Making Strides, highlighting different resources, and bringing awareness to the different research and fundraising and honoring survivors, and talking about the events and sorts of goodness that we can share to the local surrounding communities on ACS and Making Strides. Similar to if you guys have seen some good news, right? Isn't that what it's called? John
Yep.
Krasinski. Am I uttering his name, Jeff? Is that who it is? I've seen his podcast, and it's uplifting and it's positive, and it's what we need in this this time that we're living in right now. And so as you're out and about, and as you're wearing pink, and as you're walking with friends and fundraising, we encourage you to send pictures, videos, post them online, and we want to be able to include those in our news show, and hopes that it just brings more awareness, reaches the broader audiences. And it's fun when you listen in and you can see yourself, or you can see friends, or you can see local landmarks in these type of things. It just, there's some type of connects a little bit more when it's local and touches you individually as a community member. So I know I'm rambling at this point, but there's a lot of fun, exciting things about this news show. So Jeff, I want to let you expand a little bit further, because you're the mastermind behind this, and you have a lot of great ideas on how this is going to be rolled out.
Well, and I first have to give credit to where it's due. Listen, everybody knows, and if they don't, they should, that our local volunteers are everything. This started as a volunteer idea. A volunteer that knew me well enough to know that, yes, I would jump all over this. And it's come together really quickly. We've got some great community partners that are willing to help where expertise is needed that I don't have. You'll see that I have a fancy microphone that was a Father's Day gift, knowing that this was coming. So the plan is to launch 8 episodes if all goes as planned, which it's 2020. Let's put an asterisk next to every if. But the plan is to launch an episode every Monday in September and October. So 8 episodes, and we do have the content planned. We will start recording that actually very soon so that we have time to do editing. But that's why we have all the more need to have people submitting stories. And, Katie talked about weather being a factor in walking early. I know that there are other things that we'll actually have an opportunity to do. So many of our great community partners also partner with our local United Way agencies. And in some cases, they have September and October blackout dates that are exclusive for United Way, which has been a little problematic in the past, although we love and appreciate and work with United Way. Think about the opportunity if you're at a corporate team to do a cookout in August when the weather's amazing, and you can walk in around the parking lot in pink t-shirts, and nothing is going to be able to replace our in-person events. Those are treasured memories that we hold really dear. But imagine if at the end of this, we can at least have a video that is all of the submissions that we get, you know, from teams at Dow and teams at Yo and Yo, and I'm pointing at some people that I know we have people on this call, you know, a McLaren Carmanis activity. I know we've got TriStar Bank and Trust on, and we've got Hemlock Semiconductor, and we've got Delphi, we've got Space, and we've got LB Transportation. We've got a lot of people on this call alone that can connect with people at work. And I've talked to some of the people on this very call about cookouts and about work engagement and about using warehouses to do some really fun things. That if, when we're at the very end of this, if everyone just sends us 15 to 20 seconds or more of a video of what they're doing, and we can tie those all together, that to me, I always try to take a video at each walk of the first person crossing the start line until the last person does, and just that steady stream of awesome, pink, life-changing traffic that is there for the cause. If we can still get a video that is cut up from over the course of 3 months and in so many locations, but like you said so well, Katie, people that we're familiar with seeing and landmarks that we're familiar with. And I believe the plan is to try to expand this effort to include the Flint and Lansing markets as well. A dear coworker of mine that covers those two events is on maternity leave right now, and that's a media market, so it makes a lot of sense to include them and have that content to really show the power that Mid-Michigan has in this fight. So please do your events when it makes sense for you. Do them in a safe way and send us, even if you don't have the ability to get a good video, send us some pictures. We want that content, and the earlier we can get it, the sooner we can work it into the shows. The plan is for each show to be 15, 20 minutes long enough that it's worth watching, but not so long that you skip over it because you don't have the time to watch that much. Like, we understand. But yeah, the content we have to work with is going to dictate some of what we're able to produce. So while we're recording some of the me talking and probably some Zoom interviews sooner than later, we'll leave spots in each for timely stuff that we get in the week leading up to that show. So it's pretty real time. Sorry, I geeked out.
No, we like Geeky Jeff. Thank you for sharing that with us. Does anyone on the phone have any questions about either of the virtual events, the kickoff or the National Day of Celebration, or the new show that we're looking to get produced and shared with the community? Okay. So we do have some pre-submitted questions based on the survey that we sent out a month or so ago that I'm more than happy to go through, but I did want to open it up for the folks on the phone. If anyone has a question that hasn't been covered, we can get those addressed first before we go into the pre-submitted. The date of the National Day of Celebration was October 17th. That was a question that came through the chat. Any other questions before we go to the pre-submitted? Okay. So one of the questions, that came in, or one of the topics considered is, how do we register a team? And I'll admit, even as a, committee member, somebody who's intimately involved in the event, I was trying to wrap my brain around, well, if we're not walking in person, like, what does that mean for registration, and how do we go about that, and what do we do? So the answer is good news. Nothing changes, even though it's a virtual walk. We still have the website that you can register on. And we do have the app that you can register with. Both are live and available right now if you'd like to log in. And I think Jeff is going to demo. Thank you, Jeff. So we do have a handful of folks registered already. But what you're going to do here, as Jeff had mentioned, you're going to enter your zip code and you're going to find an event near you. We have Midland and Saginaw, Lansing. Obviously, if you want to select, Midland, you can either join a team, you can lead a team, or you can just simply join as a participant. You'll use your email, your username and password. If you've already registered before, it would be the same username and password. Or you can, register as a new participant and create an account. We really encourage, like I said, getting logged on here, but really because everything is virtual, is partaking in adapting and utilizing our app. The app is really cool. It's super easy to use. You can search in your app store on your or Play Store, whatever type of smartphone you have an iPhone or an Android, and you can search American Cancer Society fundraising fund. Jeff, does fun have to be capitalized? Is that the best way to search when you're on your app store?
I don't believe that the App Store cares too much about upper and lowercase. In fact, if you just search American Cancer Society, there should only be two results that come up, the fundraising app and the ACS to Go app.
Okay.
Full disclosure, the ACS to Go app is not worth downloading.
We love honesty.
But the fundraising app is incredible.
I was just going to say the fundraising app is one to download. No, perfect. Thanks, Jeff. So you can register through the app. And really this will come in handy, just to keep, I have my phone with me all the time. If you're out and about in the community, somebody asks, you're talking about the event, to have the app downloaded to be able to show, individuals, the app itself, to talk about the event, any updated information about it. Jeff's showing yep, there we go. Okay, perfect. And really it's a way to, collect and donations and fundraise. There's the opportunity to put your credit card information right on the app. You can put other people's credit card, submit their credit card information and collect donations that way. You also can scan checks, to the best of my knowledge. So that's really nice. You don't have to worry about collecting checks. You can, and sending that in for processing, you can just scan the checks and it uploads right to your fundraising in your website. And it's really, I would say that utilizing the app is probably the fastest and the most accurate way to collect fundraising donations, and limit the chance that it gets lost in the mail, or avoid processing times by actually sending in or mailing in checks. So refresh, you can register website, the app. We encourage you to download the app, whether you register via that way or not, just to have on hand. And then to fundraise through the app is probably fastest and most accurate. Any questions with registering? Jeff, did I forget anything?
I don't think so. Lauren, who's on the call, is a huge advocate to the app, and she sent me a message offline, and we might be creating a video that is an app tutorial that we can put on,
awesome.
On our YouTube page, which this is a great plug for that. This is where you're probably going to find the recording of this call. everyone should go to ACS of Northern and Central Michigan on YouTube, and please subscribe to that page. And just to explain why, first of all, that way you can get notifications of new content that's on there. That's where we will house this show in September and October. But also right now, the way YouTube works, our YouTube link is youtube.com/75 different letters and numbers that are nonsensical. Once you get 100 subscribers, you can customize your URL so that when we send links, you see an address that makes sense instead of one that makes you wonder, should I click on this or not? So please help us out with that. It's a new channel, so I think we only have like 37 subscribers, but I'm confident we're going to get the 100 plus that we need in no time.
And Jeff, can you paste that link in the chat for everyone?
I
If you
will,
haven't
yeah.
already? Awesome. Thank you. Because I will take that as an action to also subscribe. I don't think I have subscribed yet. All right. The next question we got, was, some folks were concerned with, how do we keep our team members and our friends and community engaged, and encourage them to participate in these events and fundraising efforts for this cause, especially given all of the competing priorities and concerns outside, just in life in general right now, and we are aware of that, and that was kind of a concern of ours as well. But we really want to focus on trying to bring positivity to the community and where we can shine some light. We want to keep the momentum going and provide that to the community as well, and try to help boost people's spirits. So we do know, we are aware that some of the fundraising activity may take a hit, given the social distancing restrictions, but a lot of different ideas are thrown out there. The comfort level of your individual self and family and friends may be able to still take place unchanged, or maybe with slight adjustments. I know one of our committee members hosts a golf scramble, and I would anticipate that still would be able to take place. It's outdoors, and can social distance relatively easy with golfing, and so trying to maybe think a little bit outside of what you've done in the past, but where we can have new ideas come to light and be creative on how we want to fundraise. That's in a way that's safe for you and your family, and allows you to social distance and ensure that we're abiding by the various governmental regulations and requests. We, as Jeff mentioned before, we want to invite you to walk at any given time over the next few months. Wear your pink, use social media, link your fundraising to your Facebook through your dashboard on the website, send pictures, videos, really utilize social media, and share the new show, and just bring awareness to the community. And as the more information we can get from you all, the more we can expand in the show, and have lots of great content to share with everyone. Jeff, did you want to add, or anyone on the phone want to add any ideas or have any comments, questions about fundraising specifically?
I will just add that, like you said in the beginning, 2020 has been not great so far. But what I love is, there are key words that we use each year when in our stage presentations at the walk and at kickoff, and it's things like courage and determination and hope. That same courage and determination that we talk about in that regard, I've already heard people that are thinking differently this year and coming up with fundraising ideas that they can do not just this year, but for years to come, that they would not have thought about had we not been put in this situation. I think most, if not all of us, are learning new things that will help improve our lives for years to come. And so I encourage you to use that same determination to think about what type of fundraising activity might be possible this year that we hadn't had a chance or a need to think about before, that is going to help us change the world and save more lives, because it's out there, and everyone on this call, everyone who watches this call, has something that they can think of. I'll also add that on Thursday's town hall meeting, one of the participants said that she was worried and scared to do fundraising and to ask for donations, but she found that there were many people that have been waiting, that so many of the other philanthropic efforts that typically ask them for money haven't this year. And so in some cases, they've got money that they typically set aside that they're just waiting for the right person to ask. And Kelly, who is on this call in spite of the fact that the new tax deadline is tomorrow, and this has to have been the most hectic, however long that she's endured, and yet she's here with us anyway, would probably be able to tell you better than most that there are some people that their accountants might be telling them, you need to spend some money on some things this year. That there's funds out there that are going to be doing something. Why not start those conversations that help those people to save lives with them? How'd I do, Kelly?
Great, Jeff. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you,
Well,
Jeff.
spend your lunch hour, Kelly.
Sorry, somebody have a question? Have a question? No? Okay. You know, and another concern, you know, that came through, or not really concern, but just, you know, an important question that we want to make sure that we're addressing is, you know, what are some opportunities? How can we make, you know, folks want to make a difference. So what's the best way to make a difference in this kind of unstable environment that we're living in right now, along with, you know, how do we make sure that, you know, we're honoring our survivors and that we're, you know, making sure that they feel special, and, you know, as much as do in our normal, you know, in-person event, you know, how do we make sure that we continue, you know, honoring them in an appropriate fashion, and that still stays at the first, you know, foremost of our minds. And so that's a very important question, and that's not anything that we've forgotten about. That is still the first, you know, front and foremost of our thoughts. And really, you know, we encourage people to, you know, join us in our committee meetings if you're interested in getting involved or learning more. You know, that's one way to make a difference. You know, we have obviously different opportunities to help out from a volunteer standpoint, but really it's important to us, and we want you to feel a part of the conversation, a part of the discussion. We want you to feel, you know, open and free to share your thoughts and opinions. You know, there are so many little ways to make, a big impact. And if everyone does something little, it ultimately turns into something big, right? And so we want to find a way that, works best for everyone, works well for you, works well for a friend, works well for the committee, works well for ACS, works well for the community. A win, 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 win. So, we are open to suggestions. Feel free to reach out to any one of us that you may know personally, or, I can type in my email address in the Zoom chat at the end in case, something comes up even over the next few months that you have questions, concerns, or thoughts on, and to reach out to us. One of the things, from a survivor standpoint, is one of the episodes that we're going to be showing with respect to the news story that Jeff was talking about is going to be specifically designated for our survivors. And so, whether, maybe you have your own story that you want to share, if, you're comfortable sending in a picture and a couple paragraphs, we can incorporate that in our news show. If you have a friend or a family member who's willing to share their story, feel free to send that to us as well. We want to make sure we put a reminder and a plug-in that, we do need to have their permission to share their story. That's, a HIPAA requirement that, we keep the individual's survivor status confidential unless they actually give us permission to share it on and otherwise cascade out. But we'll use that information for a special episode. And we also are looking for survivors who'd be willing to take part in the video. There's going to be a panel, or I think we're looking to do a panel for that episode, and to share your story and to partake in a panel. So if you know of somebody who you think would be a good candidate for that and who'd be willing to share their story, have them reach out to us, because again, it's really to emphasize and to celebrate the survivors, and to really make the survivors feel important and loved. And that's what we're here for, right? Is to make sure that we have endless birthdays, and we want to fight the good fight and make sure that everyone's a survivor. So Jeff, did you want to add anything to that, or any other suggestions maybe that came up in the town hall last week on how to recognize and honor our survivors?
Yeah, and I do want to, this is an important point of clarification to make every year as new people are facing a cancer diagnosis. You, your doctor, other people in your circle might define survivor one way. I've talked to a lot of people that don't consider themselves a survivor until they get that all clear, that you and cancer have ended your relationship, right? We treat anyone that has faced a cancer diagnosis that is with us as a survivor. You've been told that you have cancer. You are currently surviving that cancer. So to celebrate with us as a survivor, we've many times heard, at kickoff 2 years ago, we had a survivor speaker that still had her port in, right? So you do not need to have your all clear to feel like you can participate in our survivor celebration. We, maybe more than anything, want to reach out to those who are still actively battling that. The idea with this episode, the survivor episode, is planned for the first episode in October. What better way to kick off the month? But yes, would love to have a panel much like this, a recorded Zoom call, where we talk to a handful of survivors from throughout the region and hear about the things that brought them strength and hope, the bits of advice that they have for those who haven't fought cancer, for those who might face a diagnosis in the future. The best thing we can do is to take the things that are hard for us, that we learn lessons from, and share those lessons with others that can use them. I have a strong feeling that that's why we go through some of the things we go through, is to be given the opportunity to bless someone else's life later. And so that resonates with me. I think that would be really cool. If you are a survivor and you have a story to tell, that I know many survivors that can't talk about their experience because they're overcome with emotion even years later. If you have a paragraph and a picture that you'd be willing to share, we would love to have that. If you've got a story to tell that isn't about advice you would give to others or lessons that you learned, but something else, let's talk. I want to know your stories. I want to have the opportunity to share, whether it's in print or in video, your stories, to celebrate you, to help you feel the love that we try to portray at our live events. I mean, you're so important. You're the reasons why we do what we do.
Thank you, Jeff. Does anyone have any questions or comments related to that? So we have a question in the chat. This may not be right, Tess. Are there plans to have or conduct the silent auction during the kickoff meeting? If so, has the process to donate to this been sorted out yet?
Gary, that's a fantastic question. We tried the silent auction for the first time at Saginaw Bay's kickoff last year, and it was very, very successful. We loved it. We planned to lean in a little bit more with that this year. I know there are ways to do online silent auctions, and that is certainly something that we're happy to look at. We encourage anyone that's participating that has an easier time getting stuff than dollars to be able to look at a way to translate some of that into life-saving dollars. I know that there is discussion of having a statewide Real Men Wear Pink launch that includes a silent auction. As it pertains to making strides, let's keep having that conversation. I know that there are answers out there, and so if you've got leads on donations, yes, let's keep having that conversation. We want to enable any type of fundraising activity that we can.
Thank you for the question, Gary. Thanks for answering that, Jeff. Any other questions? We've been through and we've kind of walked through the primary pre-submitted topics that came through on the survey. But we want to make sure we still have 10 minutes or so blocked in the hour. If anyone has any additional questions, comments, did you guys like this town hall? Is this something that you'd like to see, in the future? Should we, try to keep these going? Curious to get your feedback as well on this type of a communication format. Bob's a thumbs up. Oh, Bob, using emojis in Zoom. I don't even think I know how to do that. How do you even do a thumbs up? Getting fancy on us. Oh, keep it there.
Us old guys can only handle about one thing at a time, so.
Jeff's a clap. Laura says that she likes them. Keep them coming. Okay, that's good feedback, because I don't think it's not too much effort to get a Zoom session on the calendar and for us to, get some topics out there to discuss with the community. So.
Yep, we can put together another survey. We know what times and days of the week work best for everyone now, but maybe it's picking a specific date. We know that we've got that kickoff in just a few weeks. And so whether the next town halls are leading up to that kickoff to answer questions with information that we know by then about kickoff, or if it's a post kickoff thing, we've given a lot of good updates. Some stuff that we've been sitting on and trying to figure out how to get to you for quite a while.
Yeah.
I can tell you, and anyone watching this video, your amazing volunteers have been so patient. Volunteer committees started meeting together in February, and in February, we had all the expectations in the world of trying to top last year's events and taking the things that we could learn from what we've done previous to have the best event we ever could. And that's still the goal. We just, we know that it's got to be different. And for a while, it was a waiting game. Can we plan the Loons game? Well, we can't, because there is no minor league baseball at all now this year. But we had one. We had a date. It was June 14th. And we were planning kickoffs, and we were planning a Party on McCarty event. And it has been sad to see each of those things drop off. But the goal to give you the best possible event to take part in is still the goal of these committees. And there's never enough times for me to publicly say how grateful I am for the volunteers that we get to work with, and the ideas they have, and the things that they're willing to do to drive making strides. It's just awesome. So there it is. I said it again. But yes, we'll look at some times for another town hall. Again, this too, just like the show, was an idea that came from a volunteer. I'm really not that bright of a guy. I'm just good at identifying awesome people and asking them to work with us. So I'm glad that people have enjoyed this, and we'll find dates probably in August to get a couple more put together.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. All right. Well, if we have, 5 minutes in case there's any last questions that want to come through. Otherwise, I want to, just thank everyone for taking your lunch hour and joining us today and listening in on what we, have wanted to share with you. And hopefully you're excited as we are about the upcoming events. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day, week, and we will be in touch soon. So thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Have a great day.
See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.